Welcome back to Real Phonies, where we take a love for movies and television and combine it with very little knowledge about movies and television. I'm your host, Christian. Joined with me, as always, are my co-hosts, Joseph.
Yellow.
And Jehu. It is officially October. That means it's time for Halloween or horror movie. I don't know what we say. Horror movies for cowards or something like that.
I think Halloween horror for cowards.
Halloween horror for cowards. I love a good alliteration, so HH needs to be in there for sure.
And I love the word coward.
Yeah.
Like, I just love any chance to use the word coward. I like to self-apply it. I like to call other people it. I like to put it in situations where it doesn't even apply.
I feel so confident that this exact exchange has happened some previous year that we've done this.
So this, starting us off, we're talking about a Hulu original, just came out. I think it counts as a horror movie.
No, it definitely
it's a horror movie.
Yeah. No One Will Save You. I don't want to get too in the weeds. I don't know that's much of a spoiler what's actually going on. But
I think it's in, like, the description of the...
Yeah.
I mean,
it's definitely in, like, the poster.
Yeah, if you see the poster, you know what the monster is in this.
It's a home invasion movie where the home invader is an alien.
Right.
And it's Caitlin
Dever?
Dever?
Yeah.
Who's basically the only person.
I was about to say,
in this movie.
there are other actors in it, but you don't recognize any of them.
And almost no dialogue.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the first thing I wanted to say about this movie is, you know, in modern times, we have sort of created, I don't even know if genre is the word, but a style of consuming movies. You know, I think it comes from streaming, making everything available, so less valuable. I think some of it comes from COVID and working at home, but it's the idea of a background show, something you can put on in the background and don't necessarily have to pay attention to the whole thing. This is not one of those movies. I was like 20 minutes into it, I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to watch this, because there's no words in this movie.
God damn it.
Yeah. You're right. There's so many times, especially when I was working from home, I would just put something on and I would not watch it. I'd only listen to it.
Yeah.
And you absolutely cannot do that with this movie.
It's so crazy you guys bring that up, because that was something I was going to bring up like later on, is that I didn't even notice that shit until I finished watching the movie, and then I went to IMDb and they were like, there are only 8 lines of dialogue in this movie. I was like, hang on a second, are you serious? Are you sure?
And I think that might be an overestimation. I think there was like 6 words.
It might have been 8. It might have been 8 words of dialogue. I can't remember.
There's one bit where she actually says like a full sentence, but even that is almost like a whisper.
Right.
It's very little. I mean, we said the synopsis and who the one person is. Or what do we think of this movie, y'all?
Both Stephen King and Guillermo del Toro said it was great, and who am I to argue with them?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, look, Stephen King's got some questionable opinions these days, but mostly just because he's on Twitter too much. But
what are some Stephen King questionable opinions?
Oh, I don't know. He just loves to comment on everything these days, and he loves to like meet in the middle with Elon Musk for whatever reason.
Right.
But that's just the whole thing.
Well, I think he comes from a generation where there is a value in trying to find a middle ground.
Yeah.
And that's just not where things are.
It's
if
not.
you try to find a middle ground, you become the enemy to one side.
That has nothing to do with this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm like diametrically opposed to horror movies. I think we all of us here are just. We're scaredy cats. It's not like the first thing we go to, but when I watch one that's good, I do really like enjoy it. And I feel like, besides the fact that I think it's like the concept of sound, like aliens are scary, home invasions are scary, good to put them together. But like the execution on this, I think is just excellent. I think Caitlin Dever's really good. I think like the visual effects are really good.
Right.
The way everything is shot is good. The sound design is excellent. It's just, I mean, it's a really just like well-made horror movie.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you guys. This is a pretty well-made movie, and it's a really good time. Perfect length, like 90 minutes.
Perfect length for a horror movie, specifically.
And what I really was shocked by is it scares about 10 minutes in, never takes foot off the gas.
Right.
I'll say maybe that's a spoiler. I don't know. I'll come back to it. But it does feed into one of my favorite genres, which I'll talk about later.
It's just really well made. It's way better than Transformers. Definitely shorter than Transformers.
Also, one of the things I wanted to say is even the opening credits I love, because the opening credits look, when it just flashes the name over it. That's so fucking Sam Raimi. It's like, you are trying to tell me that this horror movie is for me, and thank you for conveying that message. Because, like you talk about, I like horror movie. There's things I can't deal with horror movies. I'm not a big fan of torture, and if there's a hopelessness to it, there also needs to be a catharsis.
Yeah.
And, without getting too spoilery, I think this definitely, hits those things.
Yes, definitely hits the catharsis, in my opinion. we want to go to spoilers?
Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot to go. But if you haven't seen this movie, better than Transformers. Certainly.
Okay, if we're going into spoilers, I have a multiple choice for you guys.
Okay.
I have a 3-pronged multiple choice. These are my 3 options for what the ending of this movie means. There's no other options but these 3.
Okay.
You guys might think you have a take on them. No, these are the 3 options.
Okay.
The first one is illegal aliens would maybe make better neighbors than rednecks after a period of adjustment. Definitely there's a period of adjustment in this.
Yep.
Some bad shit goes down. But after that, they seem to be better neighbors than the neighbors she originally had. Second one. In the Mouth of Madness was a great movie with a great ending. But what about the opposite of that ending? Because it's exactly the opposite to the ending of that movie. And the third one is the 2000s manic pixie dream girl meme could even charm an alien invader.
That's fair.
One of those 3 things is what it means.
I have one to challenge you.
Okay.
A person would rather live in an alien nation rather than alienation.
I can't decide if I'm impressed or I hate it,
Honestly, I thought you were going to say alienation than a red state, but yours is definitely more clever.
I saw the synopsis for this movie had the word a young alienated young woman, and I was like, this writer had too much fun, and then Christian Jones took that and took it to 11 to the best and worst way possible.
Yeah. So, I think if we're talking spoilers, there's 2 things you need to know about the ending of this movie. Number 1, this movie's been following a murderer the whole time. Right. Whether, maybe innocent murder.
I did want to talk about a couple different things I want to talk about. Man, I didn't think...
And 2, the aliens win.
And 2, the aliens win, for sure. That is one of my favorite things about it, is any horror movie, I think that genre more than most genres is it's really hard to know how it could end.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because in most cases, in her particular case, fucking alien invaded, her house is destroyed, her everything is destroyed. You can't go back to a status quo, right?
Right.
And sometimes it is as simple as the bad guys win, but it's just I think ending things is hard, and I feel like horror directors in general are just let's do something fucking crazy.
Right.
Yeah, it's Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something about her being a murderer?
So again, there's not a lot of words in this movie, but it's very clear from the beginning. I kind of hope they would never tell us, honestly, what she had done.
Right.
But I'm putting the pieces together as I'm watching. I'm like, okay, everyone blames her for the death of this young girl who's her best friend, who blah blah blah. And then, at some point, they go to her gravestone, and it says 2012. It's like, okay, it's pretty shitty to hate on a 12-year-old for something that happened,
right?
10 years later. Mm-hmm. But then, I was thinking, maybe it's she got lost and they didn't find her, or it was a car accident or something. But she did actually murder her.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Well, it also, you don't really know how to feel about her because, and this is something me and Sarah really had a problem with watching it, is that the aliens, while scary, were very sympathetic when they were dying. All of them seemed like sort of injured animals or children as they're in the throes of death. So I'm like, is she taking this the wrong way? Is she the asshole in this?
So I do think there are 2 parts to that. The first is that, without realizing it, of course, the first kill she gets in the movie with the alien, she kills the same way she kills her friend.
Right.
The random object she pits up right to the skull, right? And so I think they're supposed to tie in there. But 2, I think the aliens are kind of sympathetic to her in that I think they're curious about her. I think you're supposed to get the impression that they're kind of just kicking ass with everybody else. And there's just this one random girl who is kind of taking it to her.
Yeah. Definitely taking it to her.
And so it's not, it's more of oh shit, we have something to learn here, or that's the more the impression I got rather than maybe sympathetic puppy.
And I'll tell you something else. She really wins through cynicism.
Yeah.
Because, the MacGuffin in this, by the way, they totally stole from a Superman comic. There's a Superman comic by Alan Moore called For the Man Who Has Everything. And
I was thinking about that the whole time.
Yeah. And, it's basically the same thing. They do this body horror thing to you, and then you just have warm, fuzzy feelings of your greatest wish. And, she defeated the same way Superman did. Hey, this seems great, but I know it's not fucking real.
I have so little need at this point in my life to like feel like I'm in like a real reality, you know, like even if I saw that thing going in and I knew it was there, if I'm like having a good time, fuck it, you know, you have a good time.
Your cipher puts you back in the Matrix.
Put me back in, baby.
If I found out this was a simulation at this point, I would immediately be, but okay, why isn't it better?
Yeah, right.
Why does
can
it
you
suck?
put me in one that's better?
Yeah. I know this steak's not real.
That does remind me. I talked to you specifically about this because for some reason I thought Gaucher loved this movie, but apparently she doesn't. But there is a movie called Risk Cutters: A Love Story.
Right.
It's an indie movie from the early 2010s, maybe.
I definitely remember the poster.
Yeah. But my favorite thing about it is like it's such a also very cynical. I mean, if you can have a cynical perspective on suicide.
Right.
But the premise is it's a world that all the people who commit suicide go to, and that world is exactly like this one, but just a little bit shittier. So it's like you already hated this one, and now you go to the one that's exactly the same but worse.
Great. Yeah, I don't have much else to say.
I will say, I think you guys had already told me, oh God, what's her name on Justified?
I can't, it's been so long. Loretta,
yes. I think you guys had already told me it was Loretta, but I had forgotten it. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, who is this chick? I even thought that I was recognize her from like a soap opera in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she's aged really well. But then the first time she grunts, I'm like, oh, that's Loretta.
yeah.
Like, I recognize that voice.
I'm sure she's been in other stuff since then. I know she's in that Booksmart movie, I think. But I mostly remember as being in the best season of Justified.
Right. Also, a funny thing about this, during that first invasion and that first kill, Sarah was trying to find her phone, so she signaled the "Where's my iPhone?" and that beep started happening in the other room. And I thought that was happening in the movie. And I'm like, man, once I realized it wasn't, why hasn't someone used that in a horror movie? That would be a great distraction for a monster trying to find you.
That's a good
you
point.
Sit off, find my iPhone, they go after that, you get out of the house.
Yeah, there you go.
I do want to talk, the movie definitely like moves in good stages from like, okay, something like it doesn't immediately go from we were having a good time to everyone's having a bad time.
Right.
It's a very incremental staging.
Right.
And like the very first shot when she like hears a noise, sees the doors open, and like you can see like kind of movement in that like
glass.
Yeah,
pane,
the distorted glass thing. It's like that's my fucking greatest fear. You know, like that's I identified and was so frightened by that just like specific shot more than almost any other shot in the movie.
Yeah,
Right.
Well, I do want to talk about the aliens for just a second. I kind of liked my first thought when I saw the aliens was like, oh, we're going to like a very traditional,
for sure, yeah,
grays type of
Which
alien.
I liked.
So the more I watched, I was like, it actually kind of made it scarier because the way we always envision UFOs and aliens is that. So it made it feel very real.
Right.
Except they like walked on their toes, which freaked me the fuck out.
Was it all of them, or was it just that one?
I think it was just the one.
They were all kind of different.
Yeah.
And then you meet the one later that does like the reverse stripper spider walk.
Yeah.
And that which by the way, this was mostly filmed in Slidell, Alabama, which has my favorite name for a strip club ever. Scuttlebutt.
That's pretty good.
It's a great name for a strip club.
I've never stepped foot in Scuttlebutt, but every time I see it, I'm like, I want to see what Scuttlebutt's about.
It's important to know that Scuttlebutt is not a good name for a strip club, but it's a good name for a shitty strip club.
That's true.
It's a good name for a strip club where a burned out action hero works in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Madsen would work at
Absolutely.
Scuttlebutt.
Definitely. Yeah, not that it was, I think, that much of a spoiler, but I was going to say one of the thing that I love about this movie and the genre that I think it fits right into that I just love is just a person having just a really shitty day. Yeah. And in this case, it was like 36 hours, so it kind of counts, but I'm not sure she slept in between.
No.
But it just never stops, you know? It's really good time.
I was really like impressed kind of with the way and I think they gave themselves some rules. Like we talked about, like all the aliens are different.
Yeah.
And so like each encounter is kind of different in like how she goes about it, and the creatures are different, things like that. But like it just does not stop. Like you said, the moment you see something move in the glass, even when it's like daylight, and you're like, she's fine.
Right.
Well, that's when you learn, no, the people are all fucked up now.
Right.
Everyone is against her. And I love the shot at night when it like kind of pans up and you see all of them over all the individual houses and stuff like that. Like, I think it's a really well shot movie.
Oh no,
it
definitely,
looks great.
It looks great. Yeah.
The big debate me and Sarah had about this, you know, as far as, you know, the town folks being taken over and stuff is, first of all, when the male guy in the beginning is playing basketball with her packages, has he already been turned? I say no.
No,
I
think
say no.
I think he's just a shitty dude.
Yeah, that's what so then Sarah was like, well, I think he's doing that because he hates her because everyone in the town hates her. I was like, no, I just think he's a shitty mailman.
I was also trying to make that distinction while I was watching it, but I came to the same conclusion.
Yeah.
It is crazy to me. I think it's more interesting with improvised weapons.
Right.
But it is crazy to me that somebody who's been essentially a recluse in a small town that fucking hates her, including the police chief,
right,
lives alone without a fucking gun.
Right.
Yeah, that's stupid.
That is stupid.
Particularly since, the main reason...
Well, you probably can't own a gun legally.
Oh, she might not be able to. Because I know the main reason I don't own a gun is not necessarily being anti-gun, but just because I know I'm fucking incompetent and I'll end up accidentally shooting myself. She's obviously very capable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the laws probably have something to do with it there.
That hasn't stopped a lot of people in the past. Yeah, I do appreciate that, at least in the first half of this movie, maybe the first 2/3, anytime that she's not actively fighting the alien, she's having a panic attack about having to fight the aliens, which I very much associate with.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, the people are worse. When that woman spit on her, felt so bad.
I was ready to punch the shit out of that woman. I don't care if it was in a police station.
No, it was a good time.
I mean, we talked about what we thought about the ending, but we didn't actually specifically reference the ending of the movies. Basically, the ending of this movie is that the aliens take over, but they let her stay free because they kind of like her style.
Yeah.
And they're just learning her style.
It's kind of unclear whether they, again, there's an empath thing where they, see her memories and whatever, and they're like, oh, this girl's had it rough.
Right.
We don't want to do anything else to her.
Right.
Or the other thing you're saying, this girl's got a lot of tricks up her sleeve. Maybe we have something to...
Oh. Yeah, I think there's two things. Number one, I think she's easily manipulated because of how she feels.
Right.
They see that. But then, two, you don't really know what the aliens want.
Right.
It's not really clear.
Yeah.
And it's seemingly like they just want control.
Right.
Well, here's this girl who had a model of the fucking town where she had, versions of the people and would make them do things and be like, well, just fucking put her in charge. And
right.
she'll just do that on an actual real-life scale, which I thought was really... a fun way to tie it back to the beginning of the movie.
I mean, she basically ends the movie as just a really happy pet, which I could totally
100%.
be okay with being.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, if you just do what we want, we'll let you maintain your...
Right.
She's great.
She gets to dance and go to parties and be with other... Yeah, it seems like a good ending.
It really threw me for a loop. It's not where I saw it
was
going.
definitely... Because, I mean, so often now, first of all horror movies have to have a point now. There's no more, let's just kill a bunch of sexy teens in the woods.
Yeah.
And second of all...
That's a good name for a movie.
Let's kill a bunch of sexy teens in the woods.
The endings almost always have to be bleak because that's what a smart horror movie is.
Yeah.
Smart horror movie is everybody dies at the end. And I like that this just took the complete opposite of that, but still felt smart.
It's so funny you said that because I didn't see it coming, but then after it happens, of course this is how it ends because it is it's the happy ending for her. She is better off at the end than she was at the beginning.
Everyone else is not.
Yeah, but for her,
and you know what else I like about it? It almost seems sequel proof. How would you make a sequel to this movie?
Yeah, and I don't want you to.
No,
I don't think you could do it as good as that. I mean, maybe you could do the Quiet Place thing and be like, oh, we're going to tell a different story in the same universe, but I still don't know what the conclusion would be that would level this one. But it's on Hulu. It's easy to watch.
It's maybe not even 90 minutes.
Yeah. Definitely highly recommended. Won't take much of your day. It's got some good scares in it, but nothing that's going to, if you're wusses like us, nothing that's going to
just turn down the volume. That's what I do.
Yeah. You turn down the volume. I also think if you can get through the first 30 minutes, there's nothing new that's going to happen.
Right.
You got to get through the first round.
It's so funny. The scariest bit to me is before she and the alien made actual contact.
Right.
She sees him and she's trying to hide.
Yeah.
That bit is the scariest bit. But as soon as the contact happens, she's fighting them. It's not as scary anymore.
No. It almost at that point changes to an action movie.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it kind of has to because of the timeline.
Yeah.
In every one of these movies, home invasion movies, The Purge or The Neighbors, that moment always occurs.
The fucking Strangers.
The Strangers.
Fuck that movie. The trailer to that movie was too much for old J.Q.
That was better than Transformers.
Yeah, no one will save you. Better than Transformers.
Agreed.
Cool. Well, that's it for that movie, which I just said the name of. What have we been watching the last weekish, guys?
I watched Castlevania Nocturne. Did you finish it?
I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, I'll be careful talking about it then. Well, it's not as good to me. It's still kind of it's still fun.
Yeah.
Like, I did prefer the first couple of seasons. This one, without going into specifics, kind of feels like a rehash of a couple of things that the first version of Castlevania did, and I think it kind of does it better. But it won me over by like the last 3 episodes. It's too short to stop it. Like, it's 8 20-minute episodes.
By the time you've started, it's already over.
By the time you've determined, I don't know that I really like this, you've only got like 3 left. So you might as well just suck it up and finish it.
Honestly, maybe that's why so many people just watch YouTube content about shows rather than shows. Because it's like that. You can just, even if it sucks, it's over so soon, it's not going to take that much of your life.
Yeah. I don't know that it's better than Transformers, but, I have an okay time watching it. And I want them to make more because this appeals to the worst parts of me, and I like that, to be indulged every once in a while. I also watched, speaking of aliens, I watched Encounters, which is a 3-part Netflix documentary about UFO encounters. Mm-hmm. Not good. I was really disappointed. I'm a sucker for that stuff, and I just wanted more. It's just kind of lame. I don't trust anybody who says, oh, I was an intelligence official for the United States government and I had access to classified information. I was an intelligence official for the United States government and I had access, and everything you just said is bullshit. So It's really hard for me to take those things seriously, and I don't recommend it. Encounters worse than Transformers. But that's it. That's all I've watched.
Look, we knew the first scandal that Donald Trump ever had while he was in the White House that the government has no knowledge of aliens. Because he would have used that.
He just would have said it.
I actually have a lot to talk about this week. So 1 and 3, I know I can keep short. 1 in the middle, I could go off the rails. So monitor me. First one, me and Sarah went to Atlanta and saw Daniel Tosh. Daniel Tosh is one of my favorite comedians ever.
I didn't know he was still even touring.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, one of the things that I like about Daniel Tosh, I feel like there used to be 3 ways to make a statement. You can make the statement like, say, I hate beans. And you could mean the literal version of that. I hate beans. You don't like beans, which is crazy. Beans are delicious. The second one, you can mean the opposite of that, and you deliver that through context and tone. That you're really saying, I love beans, and it's ridiculous that someone hates beans. Or you could just be making an absurd statement, and it's not even really about beans. I think, because of the internet, the way we've communicated is narrowed down to people only willfully listen to the first version. Whatever you say is what you said. Mm-hmm. I think Daniel Tosh is really good at doing that second and third version and letting you know. Like I'm saying this awful thing, but I really think the opposite of this awful thing. And I think one of the ways he's been able to do that is he just dropped off the face of the earth. He doesn't come out and say it in the show, but he heavily implies at the end of the show, I've been getting paid to stay off television. and he seems to be fucking loving it. He seems to be having a good time. One more thing I'll say about it is that one of the things I hate about comedians is when they do 4 or 5 1-hour specials about how much they hate children, and then they do an hour on their new kids. Now, when I say things like that, people think, you must hate kids. I don't hate kids. I really like kids. I just recognized early on I'd be a bad father. But Daniel Tosh has finally had some kids, and much in the same way that dude can tell sports jokes about things I have no firsthand knowledge of and still convey to me why it's funny, he did the same thing about child rearing. I think that was a good job. Daniel Tosh live in concert, better than Transformers. The second thing I want to talk about, I've mentioned on here before Dinosaur Jr., my favorite band. I don't know if I've talked much about my second favorite band, The Replacements. Probably the band that's had actually more influence on my life. If you don't know much about The Replacements, they were 4 guys from Minneapolis. When they got started, 3 of them were older teenagers and 1 of them was like 12. And they sort of have this whole romantic backstories of they could have been contenders. Everything about The Replacements is like they were just about to break through and then they fucked it up. But I love them. They made great music that always sounds like it's just about to fall apart which makes it more exciting when it doesn't. There's a couple of their records that sort of have specific part of this lore of like they sort of made wrong turns at those records, and that's what the later one being their record Don't Tell a Soul, which basically it came out around the time that, you know, U2 and REM were breaking big, and they kind of tried to make a really polished pop record like those guys were making at that time to sort of break through with that. And it basically alienated all their hardcore fans without bringing in enough new fans. They had a couple minor hits off of it, but it wasn't the turn for them they thought it was. So a couple years ago, you know, they did a reissue of it where they basically did a new mix of it to try to sort of make the record that fans had always said they wanted to be. And it was pretty fun at first, but honestly, after 4 or 5 listens, I just went back to the first one. Turns out I kind of wanted them to make a polished pop record. The second of those is early in their career. It's their first major label record. The last with their original lead guitarist, Bob Stinson, who's kind of sort of at the center of the Replacements lore. And it was called Tim. And basically, you know, everybody pretty much agrees, hey, this is the best collection of songs they did. Too bad the record sounds like shit. And as a kid listening to it, I never thought it sounded like shit because I listened to it on cassette. And sort of on cassette is a great equalizer. Everything sort of sounds equally sort of pushed together and muddled. And honestly, I still love that format. So when they said they were doing a reissue of this, that they were doing a similar thing, they were doing a new mix of it, I wasn't too super excited about it. I knew I would buy it because I'm an old dude with a little extra income, and that's what these fucking $100 box set reissues are for. But I bought it, and goddamn, it is such a revelation. It really does like prove that lore of them. Shit, if this record would have been mixed right when it released, they maybe would have been U2. They maybe would have been REM. It's so fucking good, and I know. You know, part of what we do these things for is make a recommendation. And I know I can't recommend to someone who's never listened to this band to cold go out and buy a $100 box set. But I'm pretty sure it'll be on streaming soon, and just listen to it. It's a really great fucking record. The Replacements are very much like the Stones or like Guns N' Roses, where there's a sleaze to them, but with like a glimmer of hope. But, I don't know, for some reason I think the problem with the Replacements is they were always just a little too into entertaining themselves. You know, if you went and saw Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose was going to say fuck the world. But what he really meant is fuck the world who's not at this shit. Fuck the world who's not buying this record. Yeah. Whereas the Replacements were really like, you might go see them one night and they'll play 15 of their songs perfect. And then the next night they may play 4 of their songs, and then the rest of the night learn covers on stage. Like, you know, and you know, also they all had heavy drinking problems. So, I think this record really, like, with this new mix, really does both those things. It polishes it with still keeping the danger in there. Way better than Transformers.
I love cassette might be my favorite audio format is like the cry of a man with tinnitus. Is what I hear when you say that.
I mean, 100%. The last thing I'm going to talk about may be a shocker for the listeners of the podcast and even you guys. I'm opening with this statement. Disney. Worse than Transformers.
Wow.
Now, why would I say that when mostly we talk about Disney shit on the show? We do talk about
a lot of Disney shit.
And mostly we like it. Is it because they're an evil corporation? Not really. Every corporation you deal with every fucking day is an evil corporation. We're going to post this podcast on 3 or 4 different platforms that are with 3 or 4 different shitty corporations. So it's not that. Is it how they dealt with the strike? No, they dealt with the strike how an evil corporation would. The reason I've turned on the Walt Disney Corporation is this. I found out those motherfuckers are the ones that are keeping Santa Barbara from me.
Oh, really? No.
I knew that they had the ABC soaps because they own ABC, so that meant they had One Life to Live, All My Children, Ryan's Hope, all those. Most of the other soaps are owned by Procter & Gamble, and there was a few outliers out there that you didn't really know who they belonged to. Mm-hmm. I assume Santa Barbara still belonged to NBC and maybe their original creators, the Dobsons. But I found out recently, and I can't find the journey of how, because I'm sure they didn't just buy it outright. I'm sure they didn't have an interest in that asset. But somehow Disney owns Santa Barbara, and Disney's the one who probably got it all struck off YouTube, and I fucking hate Disney. Like, if you own this thing, do something with it. Come on.
That's super fair. We talk about it all the time on this. The danger of the digital age. Right. If you don't have it physical, it doesn't exist.
Right. So that's all I got.
It's like a sequel 2 years in the making.
Yeah. I did a couple things this week. I watched The Creator in IMAX.
Oh, that scene. As soon as I thought of that trailer, this is catnip for nips.
I don't even know if I would have seen it, but it's Gareth Edwards who did Godzilla. He did
Rogue One,
which I hate.
I think it's the last movie he made.
I think it is too. And Monsters, which is his first movie. This one definitely it feels spiritually like a fusion of Monsters and Rogue One. It's a sci-fi movie. But I say that at the loosest terms.
Right.
So, I think the kind of it's a movie, but it's also kind of a statement. And the statement is supposed to be, look at what we can do with less than $100 million. This movie cost $80 million, and it looks incredible.
He shot it on a $4,000 camera.
Right. It's a grand sci-fi epic. It's a very familiar story, I think, which is particularly in the last 5 to 10 years. Which is, I don't know, reluctant dad shepherd's child who has special powers or special meaning some other place, and they learn to love each other along the way.
Right.
Did you ever see Artificial Intelligence? Spielberg finished
No, I haven't seen it, yeah.
With Jude Law.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like to me. It's so much of here's a robot kid.
Yeah. So the reason I hesitate to call it sci-fi is because in my heart, and this is probably way too high of a bar to set for a genre,
right.
But I feel like to do sci-fi correctly, you have to have a statement about something.
Right.
You're either doing some kind of analog about a real world situation through the lens of this sci-fi thing, or you're doing some kind of high-minded philosophical exploration of the human condition,
right.
Using all your sci-fi bullshit that you're doing. And I think I like that stuff. Not all the time, but I go to that genre for that stuff. And I don't think this has any of that. I think the line between sci-fi and space fantasy is very thin, and I don't really know where it is. It definitely thinks that I think it's trying to do something with are robots people, but they just make the robots people in this,
right?
So it's not really a part of the movie. So I don't think it's saying anything. I think it's just a standard storyline in a cool futuristic setting, but definitely the selling point is the visual. It's very much the lived-in sci-fi universe. I think most sci-fi movies since Star Wars have been kind of trying to replicate the 77 Star Wars. They're trying to replicate that feel, and I think this one does a really good job. It feels very real. Dang, I can't say lived in. Yeah, because I already said that, but. I think that's the biggest selling point of this movie. Besides the fact that, John David Washington's fine. Nepotism, sure.
Right.
But, whatever. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a star, but he's fine. It's better than Transformers, though. If you get a chance, it's pretty good.
I've said this before. I think that Hollywood is the one, specifically with actors, Hollywood is the place where nepotism makes sense. It's just about being handsome and being able to memorize lines. That's really what being a movie star is. So why wouldn't the child of a handsome person be handsome?
Boy, don't agree with that either, Button.
Why do you say that?
I guess that's not fair. It's not fair to expect John David Washington to be Denzel Washington 2.0, but he don't got it,
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I agree he's not as good, but I'm just saying he's handsome and he can
is
memorize
symmetrical.
lines.
He can memorize lines.
I'm really surprised because when I saw the trailer, I was like, "Oh, this is robots mixed with misery." That's
for sure.
That's Nips's genre. So I'm surprised it's more of a Star Wars because it reminded me of. What was that movie? I feel like I've brought this up before and couldn't remember the title then, but it had Michael Shannon, Adam Driver, and they were escorting an alien child to some sort of alien rescue. Do you remember the movie I'm talking about?
I do remember this movie, and I cannot remember the name of it. It also reminds me that Adam Driver just did that same movie, but in prehistoric times. Right. It was also kind of a sci-fi movie. Right. Damn, these are all... Anyway, this movie has been done a lot, but it's still a good version of that movie. Anyway, better than Transformers... would recommend. Right. I have come under fire with the few listeners of our show who do watch anime for saying that there's been no good anime lately. Because I already talked about Jujutsu Kaisen. I talked about when the season started, but I guess I have to reiterate, Jujutsu Kaisen still kicks so much ass. It kicks so much ass that nobody else has any ass left to kick. Right. It's the best show. If you ever watch any of the Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, whatever. All those things, they're all the same thing. This is the best version of that, bar none. It's not even close. It's a great show. Better than Transformers. I don't feel like I need to keep repeating myself.
Right.
The other thing I just watched, I just found out about and listened to today is a podcast that I don't know if you guys know exists. Strike Force 5.
Sounds so familiar.
So I guess it started a while ago, but sometime early on in the writer's
Jimmy
strike,
Fallon thing,
it's got all of the late night hosts. So it's got Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, John Oliver, and Seth Meyers. I'm going to edit out that space.
I think that space is correct, though. I feel like
Seth Meyers.
I feel like Seth Meyers is currently the least memorable of the hosts. I mean, he's better than Jimmy Kimmel.
I was about to say that's the thing. He's like one of the better ones.
He's one of the better ones, but I don't think he has as big a space in the pop culture consciousness as those other ones.
It's so funny to me because I haven't sat down and watched a late night television show since Craig Ferguson.
Right.
But like everybody else, I think we consume it like on YouTube in clips and whatever. But still, I don't feel like I watch like large quantities of it all the time. But definitely, like I catch clips and here and there as they're interesting. But there's something about like late night television or late night talk shows that I find really fascinating.
Right.
Because I don't think I'm alone in that. In that there's like first off, the people who are hosting it get to interact with all kinds of different people in all kinds of different capacities, in front of and behind the camera. But also there's like an inherent artificialness to the whole construct.
Right.
It's like it's a very weird thing that we've made normal. Like it's a thing we expect to happen in a certain way, but it's just like two people who don't really know each other talking in front of strangers they've never met before.
And pretending like they hadn't decided on the points they're going to talk
exactly.
about.
So like there's something very fascinating about that whole construct to me. And so to have, I'm about to say it's not, corporately restricted, but it's heavily sponsored already. Theoretically, the money's supposed to be going to the crew who are on the writer's strike or whatever.
Right.
But immediately this show has like a bunch of sponsors, so it's not like not corporate-y.
Right.
But to like hear them get to talk on not network television about like their experiences and just like how those five guys interact is really fun. I really like the first episode. I'm going to keep listening to it. But Strike Force 5, I don't know if they're going to keep doing it now that
I don't think they are.
Yeah.
I want to check it out because I don't know if you've done an episode, but it definitely seems like when it comes to late night, like that's an exclusive club.
Yeah.
And for a long time, there was such a malice.
Yes.
Right.
that's
Between...
what they talk about that in the first episode. The last writer's strike was in 2005, and it was like, obviously Letterman and Leno were not on great terms.
Right.
Yeah. So it's fun conceptually to have an outlet where all of these guys who essentially compete against each other, but also only have each other to like relate to be able to like communicate.
Yeah.
Bringing up people that I've already brought up in this podcast. There was some story that Mike Mills from REM tells one time where they were invited to Bono's house to eat dinner, and he sat down, and Bono's opening, sort of head up his ass toast was, "We're the only people on earth who knows exactly what it's like to be us." And while that does sound pompous and bullshitty, that's exactly what it's like for that group of people. Only those guys at this moment in time know what that's like.
Yeah. So anyway, I think there's like 10 or 12 episodes on there already. So Strike Force 5, I'm going to listen to the rest of them. Better than Transformers. Episode 1 anyway.
Good deal.
Yep. So next week, I think we're going to continue our Halloween horror for cowards.
Whatever is on the plane.
Well, you guys let me know what you all watch on the plane. If you guys choose Barbarian, I've already watched that.
Watching a horror movie on a plane.
Have you watched Barbarian?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah.
See, you guys might, because there is supposed to be that thing that watching a movie heightens emotions. I wonder if fear is one of those emotions.
For sure it is.
Dude, that does sounds like a bad idea.
I don't mean touchy in the sense of like, how am I going to react? It's always touchy about like, who is around me and what's going to happen in this horror movie that people are going to be judging me for.
Well, I will say Barbarian might be a good choice because it's not super gory.
Okay. That's good.
We'll see. Yeah.
So that's it for this week. Thank you guys for listening. Please rate, subscribe, tell your friends about the podcast if you want to get in touch with us and tell us how you feel about the thing that we watched that I've already forgotten. No one will save you. Actually, if you've got any other good horror movies you think are good horror for cowards, since we don't watch that many, we got to make them count. You can reach us at realphonies@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Real Phonies, on Instagram, Real_Phonies. Thanks to Zach Evans for our art and Brian Velasquez for our theme. We'll see you guys later.
Later.